Teslacam. I hope you're satisfied.
This submitter was driving his Model Y with full self-driving enabled when his Tesla slowed down for a construction zone. The driver of the black VW Jetta following our submitter didn't follow suit. After bouncing off our submitter's Tesla, the Jetta collided with a semi-truck, then ricocheted back into the Tesla, pushing it into the grass in the median. Many first responders, including sheriff's deputies, state troopers, ambulances, the highway department, and tow trucks, all arrived at the scene. Eventually, traffic was directed around the collision scene on the right shoulder while an investigation was conducted and while cleanup was underway. Miraculously, both the Jetta driver and our submitter were able to walk away without any serious injuries. The investigation uncovered what really happened, and dashcam footage provided by another witness proved crucial to discovering the cause of the collision. The footage shows the witness driving at 75 miles per hour when the Jetta passed them at an even higher speed. The Jetta swerved into the left shoulder before the collision, and our submitter believes this was likely caused by distracted or impaired driving. The footage also reveals that the Jetta driver didn't brake until they were within a single car length of our submitter's Tesla. It's likely they were traveling around 80 miles per hour at the time of the collision. The investigation is still ongoing, but in the meantime, both vehicles have been deemed total losses. Considering the abundance of video footage, we're guessing the insurance companies won't have any problem determining who was at fault. Isaac rents out his brand new Model 3 Performance on Turo. An hour after this rental had started, the renter contacted Isaac to inform him they'd been involved in a collision. Isaac asked what happened, and you won't believe what they told him. As the renter was turning, they somehow began drifting to the right before smashing into a parked Honda. Isaac rushed to the scene. Police arrived quickly after he contacted them, and they began questioning the renter about what had happened. The renter told the police they'd been distracted while trying to use navigation. The police asked them if they were talking about the Tesla's built-in navigation. Nope. The renter claimed they'd been using a navigation app on their phone. The police told them that using a navigation app is not a justification for operating a phone while driving. Isaac notified Turo, and their roadside assistants towed his Tesla to a Tesla-approved body shop so it can be evaluated for repairs. They'll be covering the repair costs, minus Isaac's $1,625 deductible. Jamie was driving his brand new Model Y on a rural back road. It sure looks like it was a quiet, peaceful drive. Well, it was, until he encountered this driver who seems like they're auditioning to be in the Dukes of Hazzard. Jamie wasn't sure if any damage had been done to his vehicle, so he tried to turn around and follow the other driver to get his license plate number in case he needed to give it to his insurance provider. They sped off before taking a turn and disappearing. Jamie drove home, and he didn't notice any issues with his Tesla. He thinks the Model Y's low center of gravity prevented it from rolling, and he's thankful it's such a safe vehicle. His son Alexander was in the back seat. He's wheelchair-bound, and Jamie had been taking him to visit family that day in his Model Y. He was pretty shaken up, and Jamie asked us to give him a shout-out. Hey there, Alexander. Zach was headed back from a skiing trip when he entered a bad snowstorm. When his traffic light turned green, he spotted the driver of a black SUV running the red light. While he was watching the black SUV, he failed to notice a Toyota Tacoma that followed it right through the intersection. Zach's Tesla was immobilized by the impact. Police, paramedics, and firefighters responded to the scene. Zach is surprised that even though his airbags didn't deploy, he walked away without a scratch. Zach told us something in his car had begun smoking, so the firefighters cut through every wire they could find in an attempt to prevent a battery fire. When his repair bill exceeded $67,000, Zach's Tesla was deemed a total loss. He used his insurance settlement to replace it with an Audi Q8 e-tron. His Audi doesn't have a Teslacam, of course, but Zach sent us this footage from when the 91-year-old driver of another Audi crashed into his in a parking lot only 2 months after he'd taken delivery. Yikes! Aditya was on his way from the Logan Cache Airport when he came to a gradual stop for the traffic ahead of him. Suddenly, he felt his seatbelt tighten hard. The next thing he felt was a heavy impact from behind. The driver behind him had been on her phone when she failed to notice traffic ahead of her stopping, and she crashed right into the back of Aditya's Model 3. When both drivers got out to talk, the other driver asked Aditya if she'd hit him very hard. He responded that she must have hit him at around 45 miles per hour. Without a word, she got back in her car and went back to looking at her phone. Aditya called the police and they responded a few minutes later. Nobody was seriously hurt, but Aditya did say the seatbelt tension caused some pain. He also told us that after this experience, he'll never buy any car but a Tesla. After work, Daniel was headed to the gym right next to his office when he signaled to make a right turn. The driver of a pickup truck began tailgating him, and when Daniel began turning, the driver tried to overtake him inside the turn. Daniel told us he barely had time to react, but his quick maneuver to the left meant the truck only hit his Tesla's side view mirror. Daniel stopped and was able to fold his mirror back into position, and since he couldn't find any damage, he decided to let the whole thing go, after sending his footage to Wham Baam Teslacam, of course. Philip was driving his Model Y down a New York highway when a reckless BMW driver behind him lost control, causing a chain reaction collision. It's hard to tell thanks to a break in the video files, but Philip told us a total of 4 vehicles were involved. The last one was a van that rear-ended another vehicle during the chaos. John was approaching a roundabout in Forest Lake, Minnesota, when a work van entered the roundabout without yielding, hitting an SUV and sending it rolling. First responders, including the State Patrol and paramedics, responded within minutes. Thankfully, even though the driver of the SUV was shaken, she wasn't seriously injured. Scott is a chauffeur who was on his way to pick up a client when he witnessed a collision between a black car and an SUV. After pulling into a parking lot and transferring his Teslacam footage to his phone, Scott went to check on the involved drivers. By the time he got there, the SUV was gone. Scott spoke with the driver of the black car, and he described the collision in a way that made it sound like it was the SUV driver's fault. He told Scott that when he told the other driver they should call the police, they said they were late for work, jumped back in their SUV, and peeled out. Scott decided not to offer his footage to the other driver since he believes it clearly shows him to be in the wrong, since he'd been exiting the same driveway Scott eventually pulled into. That said, the fact that the SUV driver fled the scene looks really bad for them. Who do you think is in the wrong here? Let us know in the comments. Richard was giving his mother a ride in his brand new Tesla when the driver of a Honda Accord was too busy with his phone to notice the Highlander ahead of him coming to a stop. Classic Honda bump, Richard continued, but he sent his Teslacam footage to his local police department after returning home. He told us his mom took one look at his 2-week-old Model 3 Performance and forgot all about the Mercedes EQS she'd been considering. Now she's getting a Model S. Lynx was entering an on-ramp where 2 lanes merge into one. Most drivers use the zipper merge method, but the driver of this modified Honda Civic was too special for that. Instead of letting Lynx merge into the lane, the Honda driver hugged the bumper of the Lexus ahead of him, blocking Lynx from merging. Lynx went ahead and merged behind him instead, but his reckless driving caught up to him moments later. When the Honda driver crossed a solid line to enter the highway, he collided with a Toyota Highlander. Lynx went ahead and sent this footage to the police in case they want to find the Honda driver. Lynx thinks he'll be found responsible since he crossed a solid line before the collision. Pay close attention to this creative Ford driver that Bhagya encountered while driving in Seattle, Washington. The Ford driver was apparently trying to correct their wrong turn by making an illegal U-turn, driving the wrong way, and crashing into a pickup truck. I feel like making a turn up ahead would have been a smarter move, but what do I know? Shuyu was waiting at a red light when an oncoming truck driver ran the light and got T-boned. Thankfully, the out-of-control truck didn't collide with Shuyu's Tesla, and the debris that hit his car didn't cause any damage. Shuyu notified the police and offered them a copy of his Teslacam footage. Matthew was driving his father's Cybertruck with his father riding shotgun. He was obeying the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit when he came up over a small bridge. Matthew was focused on staying in his own lane and out of the way of oncoming traffic when he suddenly noticed a woman walking on the side of the road. With no way to swerve around her, he stood on the brake pedal and came to a stop instead, avoiding a collision with the pedestrian. Matthew wants to remind our viewers that if you're walking in an area without sidewalks, you should always walk facing traffic so you can see if an approaching driver is on a collision course. It's also a good idea to wear reflective or bright clothing. Great tips, Matthew! This submitter was driving home from getting a haircut when he witnessed an extremely reckless move by a cop. A Prince George's County police officer tried to make a U-turn from the middle oncoming lane, nearly hitting the white Subaru in front of our submitter. The Subaru driver swerved and almost hit a black Audi in the right lane, and our submitter also swerved around the front of the cop car. This submitter told us he's been watching Wham Baam Teslacam for about 2 years, and this was his first Wham Baam moment. Our channel was one of the main reasons he decided to buy a Tesla. Watch this Wham Baam Dashcam episode if you want to see more videos of reckless law enforcement encounters. The cop car spun around and struck the Nissan in the back as well, shoving it hard into the light pole. A witness later said the cop car had accelerated before the impact and both vehicles' airbags deployed.